If your HEPA filter has been in your Tesla for a few years, it probably looks like this. Yeah, mine had been in for 7 years. It looks pretty gnarly, but the good news is that this is what the back looks like. So it's pretty clogged, but at least it doesn't seem to be letting that stuff through. But yeah, it would probably be working better if it looked more like this. Here's how to make that happen. Now I have a 2017 Model X, and if you look in Tesla's service manual, you should find the HEPA filter replacement procedure in the Thermal Management Cabin HVAC section. It's correction code 181-05502. If you go through Tesla's parts catalog, it looks like the HEPA version of this filter is $295 and the non-HEPA version is $165. Now, on to the fun part. So basically, you need to get this front tub out. So you've got to take the gasket off the top, take everything out, and there are these two little lights that light up the frunk when you open the trunk, and you need to unclip those. Then it's a question of removing a whole ton of bolts that hold the tub down. So I think it's a 10 mil bit that you need, and you just remove all the bolts. While I'm removing these, I have time to tell you that I was actually doing this work to try to find a coolant leak, which is another video that I'm working on. Not actually to deal with the HEPA filter, but when I encountered it and how dirty it was, I couldn't leave it like that. Why I'm telling you this will become relevant in just a sec. So now that all the bolts are removed, the tub can come out. You just need to move these little shrouds out of the way. They just kind of clip on and then pull it out. So at this point, you have a decision to make. If you just bought the filter from a third party or something, then you'll need to remove the filter from the plastic housing. I understand some are glued like crazy, and if that's the case, I'd probably use a razor blade to cut the filter out. But as for mine, it was glued sanely, and not too difficult to remove. Your other option is to replace the filter housing together with the filter. I understand that Tesla's filters come sold as a part integrated in this way. As for me, as I said, I hadn't bought this part since I was working on a coolant leak, so I actually opted to clean mine. I understand that not all HEPA filters can be cleaned, and there's some risk that mine will no longer be catching 99.97% of particles as small as 0.3 microns. But since I had no part on hand and the thing seemed close to clogged, cleaning just seemed better than not cleaning. So here's how I went about cleaning it. A quick vacuum of the surface followed by a vacuuming of each fold. I was actually quite happy with how it turned out. It will be interesting to see in a year or so if the back of the filter continues to remain as clean as it has, or if this cleaning compromised the filter enough to let visible dirt through. Either way, probably in about a year I'll replace this with an actual new filter, but as for now, I'm happy with this. To put the filter back in, I'm just gluing it using some silicone caulking in the same places it was glued when I pulled it out. I imagine that a true HEPA system would be sealed all the way around if it's truly filtering a high percentage of very small particles, but as you saw, mine was just glued on the sides, and since I've just cleaned this, that should be fine. Now the task of putting everything back together. It's really just the reverse of the removal. The tub sits in, then all the bolts go on. Make sure that the wires for the frunk lights aren't pinched or anything, and that you're able to get them back through so that you can hook the lights back up. I think that was the only gotcha. I did notice that my frunk gasket had expanded from sitting in the sun, and so it seemed like it was now too big for the trunk, but as I worked with it, it seemed to remember its shape. Maybe when you take your gasket off, keep it in a cool place while you're working. I hope this was useful to you. My next video is going to be about a low coolant warning I got in this car, and how to deal with that. Losing coolant in a Tesla can be a big deal and shouldn't be ignored. We think about coolant in ICE engines, cooling the engine, but in electric cars it's cooling the drive units as well as the batteries. Unlike an ICE car, it won't just boil off through a pressure relief valve in the radiator cap. Missing coolant could be going into the drive unit or the battery case, which will eventually cause them to fail. So if you want to see my resolution to that problem, remember to subscribe.